Heh. Then I'm right. I'm right about everything. Oh my god, what is happening? Hello! Hey guys, it's Katie and welcome back to Lucid 9 Inciting Incident. In the last episode, Yama ran to the train station after he seen that a bunch of police officers were at his house, and he overheard them saying that they were going to arrest him for being the prime suspect of the murders. So while we were at the train station, we start getting a bunch of text messages from Yaiko, Masato, Akira, asking where is Rui, and Yama ends up figuring out that Rui is with the killer. Then Yama starts to try to piece together who may be the killer. At first he suspects Yaiko, and then we end up figuring out that it's Mr. Ryota. Shigure then calls us on the phone, and we kind of talk to her a little bit. We tell her that the killer is Mr. Ryota, and she pretty much tells us to stall as much as we can to make sure we stay alive. Then we put Shigure on hold, and we call Mr. Ryota, and I don't know, I think my theory might be correct on, I think that the police officer may be involved with Mr. Ryota, because as soon as we are on the phone with him, he switches over because somebody calls him, and he pretty much knows that we're on the phone with Shigure. So Mr. Ryota gives us some terms to try to follow, and we reject the terms twice. So that kind of gives us an advantage. So Rui will be there and she will be untied. We then run to school and we see Mr. Ryota, and he's all like creepy looking now, and he just has this different aura about him. So he leads us to this classroom where Rui and a boy and girl are sitting there in the classroom. Now he wants us to play a little game with him, and it's pretty much like I have to copy everything that he does, and it's either picking Rui and the skeleton or the two students. So I picked the two students, and I feel really bad about it. And I was kind of like having a little bit of an anxiety attack the last time I was recording this, so I don't know, it just made me very panicky, like being in this situation and like hearing all the sounds and all the, of bones breaking and stuff like that. I don't know, it just like gave me like panic and stuff like that. So after we hit the girl, Rui calls out to us, asking us to stop or don't listen to Mr. Ryota, because Mr. Ryota's kind of ranting and raving about stuff. And Mr. Ryota gets mad and he runs up to Rui and he like pulls on her hair, and I think that's when Yama gets the idea to maybe lash out at Mr. Ryota to try to break his phone that's on the desk. So we break his phone. Yeah, and I got my courage today. I'm ready to see this through to the end. So let's continue where we left off. And then the coldness, the numbness, the emptiness, it all melts away, and I suddenly feel weary, like every footstep is being pulled through mud. The bowl of pent-up aggression in my gut is replaced with a pounding soreness from the impact of Ryota's pipe. Oh yeah, Ryota, he attacked us when we were like swinging at him, and after we broke his phone, we were just like, I don't know if Yama was like intentionally trying to miss Mr. Ryota or if he's actually trying to hit him, but yeah, Mr. Ryota like hit us in the gut with a pipe, so ouch. For a moment, I let myself lie there, splinters of wood and plaster pricking into my back. It would be so easy to just close my eyes and sleep. Let this whole world drift away. Get up, boy. Game's not over yet. Unless you mean to forfeit? Ah, that's right. I can't forfeit because there's other lives on the line. That's what I came here for, to help these other people, to save some lives. I start to push myself up, but my abdomen clenches in pain. I gracelessly fall back to the ground, my back stinging from the tiny daggers of fragments embedded into the ground. So, no forfeit? Pity. I turn onto my side and try again. This time, I lean on the remains of the desk, cradled an arm against my aching stomach. Where was that energy from a split second ago? Why am I suddenly so tired? I guess that I tend to charge ahead when I have a purpose, and without that purpose, I just run on a broken engine. I needed to break the phone. Now I've broken it. What's left? Wait? How long? When will Sugar Ray come? Cute playboy. I see what you're trying to do. My veins fill with dread, and it takes every ounce of self-control for me to not cast a glance at the buried phone. Unfortunately for you, noise isn't an issue. You can throw a tantrum all day, and no one will hear a thing. The new curfew keeps kids in the dorm court. No one's going to take a stroll around the classrooms when they could be playing foosball in the common room. I don't have energy to respond. I don't even feel my face move. Gradually, the cold, welcoming emptiness in my mind is dissipating, replaced with the creeping sense of utter. Utter what? Something dark, black, something that feels like it's squeezing my temples and smothering my nostrils until I can't breathe. Well, that was an interesting intermission. Must be my turn again, no? He weighs the pipe casually in his hands, like he's adjusting his hold on a baseball bat, and lifts it over his shoulder. I only register his words when he steps forward, sidling closer to the boy's side. Suddenly, past the bolt of pain in my diaphragm, I'm screaming. No! Ah! Ah! God dang it! I automatically close my eyes at the moment of impact, but that doesn't make the crunch of his collapsing bone any less loud. Ryota struck the boy's hand this time. I keep my eyes off of it, scared at witnessing the damage for myself, but judging from the boy's shocked stare, it's just as bad as it sounds. Ugh. Please, don't hurt him. Oh, I wouldn't worry if I were you. You'll be getting your fair share of the pain. She groans at this, loud and anguished, bubbling in her throat like a clot of blood. Breaking the phone wasn't enough. There has to be more, something else I can do. Are you enjoying this? A filler as my mind scrambles for something more adequate. Why, yes, I am. Thanks for asking. And you even enjoyed the previous students? They were all right, but this little show has been the best by far. It's like playing chess against a toddler versus playing chess against a rival. One just doesn't bring that satisfying challenge, you know? I can't feel good about pulling a checkmate on a little kid who's not even potty trained. He's becoming more talkative, taking his focus off the game, even if it's just a little bit. I seize this with desperation. Maybe they were more of a challenge than you thought. I figured you out just from the clues that they dropped. At this bold claim, Ryota tilts his head like a broken doll. Ugh. I see the deranged gears in his head picking up speed ever so slowly. Because Ryota doesn't like games with only pain, suffering, injury. Ryota likes to think. Ryota is intelligent. Ryota would look for a battle of wits just as readily. Even this pipe game, it's a twisted mix of sadism and psychology, his mind clashing against mine, trying to make me succumb to his methods. Maybe there's a way to pique his interest and bring the floor back into balance. It's the last hope I have. You always were a sharp kid, weren't you? I had high expectations for you, but you've exceeded every one of them. You deserve a gold star. I hope you know that a gold star isn't exactly a great incentive at the moment. Oh, but I read that positive reinforcement is better than punishment, particularly when it comes to children. To be fair, I've always thought of it as a ruse. Punishment gets results. You just need to look at history to realize that. It's because of whips and taskmasters that the ancient pyramids and the great terracotta army were built. Meanwhile, what has modern humanity done? Skyscrapers? What beauty do those hold? They're glorified prisons, cages of metal and glass, meant to trap in pathetic little animals. Is that what you consider success? Building something big? Some people just prefer happiness. Happiness? What a subjective measure of reality. At least impressive structures are tangible. They are made of strong material, carved to loom above the common populace. When you look up, you realize the depth of a man's insignificance. Happiness? What can measure happiness? How many smiles I send per day? Oh, let's not forget the first world dream, living in a mansion with a Ferrari and 1,000 of servants. So he's talking about Yaiko right now? Is that why he's like killing people close to Yaiko? I don't know. Nothing brings happiness, but so much brings awe. This is just a meaningless stall for time, but I'll take it. He's starting to warm up, and weirdly enough, so am I. Now let's just have a conversation while, a boy and a girl have broken bones, like deformed fingers and shit like that. Jesus. Maybe happiness is subjective, but awe, does it really bring fulfillment? Doesn't it? Haven't you ever stood on the precipice of a great chasm and just thought, oh, I could just die happy at this moment? It's an unparalleled feeling in the world, child. You seem to be regarding me with skepticism. Then, pray tell, what is your opinion? What makes you happy in this foolish little world? What makes me happy? Something about the question seems to be a trap. Is he waiting for something to use against me? Is it time for another layer of psychological warfare? My friends, I could say, my friends make me happy. Then he'd point out how none of them were here, how I've endangered the only one who mattered, how friends are simply an arbitrary term for a circle of useless acquaintances. All I would feel is despair. Then what else could I offer as an answer? Being alive? Being alive to do what? Feel and experience everything that life has to offer? Then Ryota would say that if the gift of life is enough to bring happiness, then everyone should always be happy. The slave beneath a whip, the trafficked girl in a brothel, the prisoner of war on a rack. And again, I would only feel despair. What makes me happy? What fuels me to get up in the morning and keep going? Altruism? Hardly. I think most people in the world are pretty stupid and don't deserve to live. Love? As if I'm a fountain of affection. What is there to fuel me? What makes me happy? Anything I think of, I know that Ryota can warp and use it against me. He'll try to break me with my own words. Oh, have I been caught? A shame we had to meet under these circumstances, child. Your mental facilities are truly impressive. Do you understand the theme of my lecture? I can't say I do. Will there be a study guide? You're already in the test, boy. I'm afraid it's too late. Simply put, he who has the most drive has the most strength, and he who has the most strength has the most power. Look at you. You can't even tell me what makes you happy, whereas I gave a confident answer. Why do you suppose that you are so powerless, while here I stand, invincible? You're delusional. He even took my lack of answer and used it against me. I tried to tell myself that it was the right decision. Are you saying that you won? I'm just reporting facts. But even if I'm weaker, I can still beat you. I already beat you. Nobody was supposed to know that you were responsible for the killings. The recent ones, or the independent ones. Ooh. Ryota stops in his tracks, his eyes glinting. Well, whatever the independent killings were, it looks like he really was the person behind them. Are you serious? So, he was just out, stabbing people in the middle of the street? Isn't that what Natsuki said? That they would, find the victims in the city and they were just, brutally, stabbed to death or something like that? I think that's what she said. It's a breather that I desperately seize. I try to cover my fatigue by flinging a challenging look in his direction. You've been busier than I thought. Doesn't seem to be too hard. People don't tend to expect much of me. But you've made friends in high places, High places? This throws me for a loop. What does he mean by high places? I got that information from Natsuki, and she lives in a shabby apartment in District 6. No, I can't be distracted. I have to keep this conversation flowing, make him lose track of time. Just how many people have you killed? The Aztecs had this remarkable belief system. Would you like to hear it? I just asked a question. In order to appease the gods to keep the universe running smoothly, they were to offer constant human sacrifices. Priests would rip out the hearts of prisoners of war while they were yet alive. Ugh! If they slacked in performing this ritual, the kingdom as they knew it would fall to pieces. That's why you kill people? To keep Izumu running? What kind of reason is that? Oh, what? Do you think I am the priest? His voice drops and takes on a tint of something unfamiliar. My spine tingles in apprehension. I am not the priest, child. I am the god. I receive bloody offerings. I do not give them myself. This city must earn my goodwill, lest I paint the streets red with my vengeance. The ones who scorned me will be obliterated by the very words of their own mouth. Oh, dear child, you know nothing of the beauty of pure, unadulterated strength. He's kind of reminding me of Light Yagami. I mean, in Death Note, Light would, kill people that were like criminals or, he felt like they were scum of the earth, they deserved to die, and he kind of considered himself a god, right? I'm kind of getting the same vibe off Mr. Ryota. He's thinking he's a god, he's getting rid of people that he doesn't think are worthy. It's kind of making me think back to Death Note for this. I don't know why. I open my mouth, willing a snarky remark to come forth, but there's nothing. My hands are shaking, tightened against my throbbing stomach. What kind of madness has seized this guy? I straighten and open my mouth wider, hoping that something will come out. Anything. If I don't say anything, if I don't distract him, even if it means I have to listen to more of this insanity. Your antics amuse me, boy, but our intermission must come to an end. We must return to our little game. Too late, the opportunity's been lost, and now I'm rattled and I can't recover. In terms of psychological damage, he's won handedly. I don't think it could have happened any other way. Like a puppet master overseeing a play, he has total control over every scene. Well, boy, it's your turn. What is your move? Let's stall. We have to stall as much as possible before he gets mad. I can't keep hitting her. It's a pity that life doesn't change, whether you can or can't do something. Stall again? Why? Did that happen to you? Oh, are we having a little heart-to-heart? One more time? Then something must have happened, something that turned you pretty bitter. You'd love it if that were true, wouldn't you? Hurry up. Clock's ticking, boy. Alright, I guess we're gonna have to hit her now. He's getting impatient with me. I have no other option. I just have to follow along. My hands shake as I step closer, raising the pipe. Maybe I can get away with hitting softer. No, it's a dumb idea. I know it's a dumb idea. Ryota would immediately know, and then he'd make me hit her again. Can't close my eyes. Might accidentally kill her if my aim is off. So I keep them wide open until the air pulls tears out of them. Then I swing the pipe. Ugh! Her arms hang limply over the edge of the chair, bent in an unusual angle that raises bile to my throat. How must she be feeling at this moment? How can she stand it? Held captive for no reason, every nerve screaming fire at her, begging her consciousness to fade, but finding no relief. How can she live through that kind of miserable existence? Say, kid, you're not looking too hot. Want to call in a sick day? I doubt that's an option. I want to say something unaffected and cynical, something that keeps me safe from this mess of the world. Instead, my mouth opens to pull up a topic to divert the conversation. You said you killed people for fun, essentially. Oh, does that bother you? I assume it would bother most people. But if I remember correctly, the Aztecs, well, they killed other strong warriors to transfer that strength to the sun. So what made you turn on a bunch of helpless students? Even as I asked the question, my inner crevices of my mind whisper quietly, is it worth it? Isn't this just prolonging an agonizing demise? But what other option is there? Come to think of it, earlier you mentioned being an executioner. Heh, good observation, kid. Let's just say that it's no coincidence that all the victims are connected to the Ikari's son. How fun. You're about to join that number. This makes me falter. Of course, if Yaiko isn't the killer, but has a connection to every single victim, it has to bear significance. How could I have overlooked that? What do you even have against Yaiko? He's harmless, he's gentle, he feels like a little kid in a broken world, something so stupidly innocent that it's refreshing. I have nothing against Yaiko. You're asking the wrong question. He has nothing against Yaiko, but he's killing people close to him? That's an incredibly drastic maneuver. Why would a serial killer suddenly focus his attentions on someone like Yaiko? No matter how hard I think, the answer eludes me. But I can't falter. I can't let him remember to continue the game. Think. If I were Ryota, if I were some psychotic man who loved to kill people, inflict extreme agony, then why would I do such a thing? What is Yaiko that I'm not? What does Yaiko have that I don't? Yaiko is arrogant, a dreamer, easily excitable, oblivious. No, these are personality traits. Think deeper. Motive. The Ikari's son, Ryota said before. The Ikaris. If it doesn't have to do with past history, they don't really know each other that well. After all, then it's because of money? Money. Connections. Yaiko is the son of two higher-ups at Lemniscape. If Ryota doesn't have anything against Yaiko, then could he have something against his parents? If you were aiming for Yaiko's parents, it seems a lot more effective to target the people around them. Still have that brain of yours, I see. Yes and no. Yes, since Yaiko is just an easy avenue to his parents. But targeting the people around the parents themselves, instant suspicion, not to mention artless and cliche. I thought you'd be smarter than that. A little thought bothers me. Why is he so open with his information? No, I don't have time to consider this. Right now, I just have to accept it. Think. More. I am Ryota. Even now, I want to see blood, to hear screams, No, something is clashing. Students aren't a challenge. They're too easy for me, the wretched pests. Their deaths are simple and insignificant. They will be remembered for, what, a day? 2? Perhaps 5 years by their families? But eventually, they will fade into inconsequential nothingness because they are young and meaningless. Another tally in a long list of missing persons. Whereas, if I could get my hands on a politician, or a world leader, or even a company executive, mourning for weeks, months, years, remembrance in history books. The man who killed the king, or the president, or the emperor, I shall make my mark on society forever, a beautiful thread filling up the space of an intricate tapestry. But instead, I've decided to kill students, to capture insignificant little rodents, just to put pressure on the Ikari family. What a joke. Why am I even doing this? The Ikari family is threatening me? No, certainly my judgment would be more swift. I would care not about my own death as long as I could have them suffer first. Were they threatening me? I could see them in their rooms the next night with a knife in my hand and a grin on my face. Capital punishment would be insignificant. I would face the chopping block gladly in that case. Money? Perhaps someone is commissioning me with a monetary incentive. As if. I am paid in blood. Currency is of little value to my psyche. If I really needed the pocket change, a few black market inquiries would do. Perhaps I need something money cannot buy. Something that only a certain commissioner has. And the only way to get it is to pressure the Akaris, even if it means killing rabbits. To do that, I started with someone only slightly related to Yaiko, Midori Maeno. They would not even notice. Yaiko may mourn, the compassionate imbecile, but to the Akaris, it's just an insignificant disappearance. Then Tayoma Hayashi, who interacted with their son on a greater level in the orientation group that Yaiko led. That may raise some eyebrows and call for suspicion, but nothing that the Akaris can prove. Next is Akane Tsukino, girlfriend of Shoji, who was close to Yaiko due to the Happy Club. Shoji himself followed thereafter. A spiral of people with Yaiko Akari as its center. The poor soul would not understand what was going on, but surely his parents would. And in return, I would receive something of enormous value, something that money cannot buy, even if it means that I must sacrifice a portion of my dignity. Heh. Yama? You, Ryota, are on someone else's payroll. You are a freelancer with a client. You are no artist. You have no satisfaction. How the mighty have fallen, once a predator, feared by all, able to strike whenever and wherever he so pleased. Now a mindless guillotine with no will of its own. How great is your greed that you would betray your love of art for this. But oh, you fool, you've conquered dogs and rats. Silence. His voice teems of ice, and I feel his psyche writing in humiliation, and it's just so thrilling. When they screamed, how easy it must have been to forget. Just a man can distract himself with symphonies, so he can distract himself with agony. But when you returned, when you lay your head on your pillow, you must have realized the bitterness of your own insignificance. Rabbits, pawns, you are pest control. Do not test me, boy. But I'm caught up in the euphoria, a welcome distraction from the never-ending cycle of pain and panic that plagued me before. Selling your soul for a delusion, a pittance. Do you never wish to go back to happier times, a time where you were a shadow with a name? The independent killings. Nothing is more fearsome than the unknown. The people who knew about them, were they terrified? Did they huddle in their beds every night, unable to sleep, thinking that they could be next? Did it stroke your ego, knowing that the one who held their fate in his hands was you? Or were those killings also at the discretion of your employer? Were there further connections that the police simply could not deduce? Was that also a primeval commission? What? Ryota grits his teeth and digs his fingers into the nearest desk, but he doesn't say a word. Then I'm right. I'm right about everything. Here you are. Here you are, the fearsome Cerberus, yet you are bound to a pathetic little leash. I'm not very good at evil laughs, so I'm trying. You know, I want to be able to, if I do like other visual novels in the future, like I want to try to maybe do voices for the characters and stuff like that. This is my first, game I've ever put up on YouTube, and I'm not very good at doing voices, but I don't mind trying. I'll try. Caught up in corporate politics at that, where there's nothing but bigwigs bickering like toddlers. What exactly do you need so badly? I can't imagine you'd be craving love or friendship. Give me a quick reminder. What else can money not buy? Respect? Naturally good looks? Peace of mind? Or say, an honest politician? Motives, Ryota. Motives are interesting things, aren't they? Everybody likes to think that their motive is special and unique, but in the end, they're all the same. Money, love, power. Which of those apply to you? Or do you still think that you're all that special, that you're something more than an empty little puppet dancing from the strings of someone else's fingers? Heh, heh. What a sick existence. What an agonizing, wonderfully meaningless exist. Yama, stop it. This is not winning. Rue's voice shocks me out of character. Like a fish suddenly pulled out of water, I stand idly for a moment, my mind blank. Not winning. Of course. I wanted to win over Ryota. I wanted it so badly that I even became Ryota, and I let myself stay as him, even though I despise him more than I've ever despised anyone. But even that isn't winning. That's just losing. Because to become Ryota would just be to win the battle and lose the war. I'm already inflicting injury on innocent students with a metal pipe, just like Ryota would. If I lost my own mind... Cute display, kid. Real cute. He's smiling assertedly. Already recovered, his voice is calm, but I catch a note of tension that wasn't there before. I get the impression that I made a terrible mistake, and if I had proceeded, well, he would have snapped. What would happen if he snapped? Would we all look like these two students bound to their chairs, broken, helpless, pleading for death? I shouldn't have tried. But what else should I have done? Just gone along with the status quo? What would have resulted in anything different? Know what's interesting? You're still missing something, aren't you? You think you've read the whole book. You think you know how it ends. You think you know the whole pattern. But you're still blind. You see out of one eye, boy, but not the other. Missing part of the pattern? I don't understand. Think harder, boy. So the sequence of deaths has to do with Yaiko. So what? So what? The broken gear in the back of my mind slowly begins to churn forward. Right, all the deaths revolve around Yaiko. Specifically, over time, these deaths have gotten closer and closer to their epicenter. Almost like a whirlpool sucking in its surroundings. Closer to Yaiko. Within the school, the closest people to Yaiko, are me, Rue, and Masato. The inseparable gang that hangs out together, day in, day out, flailing through life with a bunch of rambunctious high school shenanigans. Of course. That's why he'd instantly picked up the phone. That's why he'd been prepared for my call. That was why he kidnapped Rue, because we were already the next ones on his list. No. Oh, that was quick. Congratulations. To be honest, boy, the Kurogane boy should be here too. What? So he was trying to go after Masato? But ha, guess what? He goes to bed too early, out like a light, doesn't answer his phone. I even prepared my whole excuse and everything. I suddenly feel so very tired, weighed down. My intellect is fraying away. I can feel my sanity bleeding out of my body. Just let it end. It was all planned, from the very beginning. I can't keep holding out. I can't prolong this misery. I try to one-up Ryota, and I only end up in a worse state than before, if that trend continues. My eyes drift aimlessly to the ground, the pipe swaying limply between my fingers. Blood, dripping quietly from the chairs, a small amount, a terrifyingly small amount, given how much damage we inflicted. How much internal bleeding must there be? How much pain? Dude, when is Shigure gonna be here? Like, we've been talking to Ryota for like my recording time. Like, I've been recording probably like over 30 minutes now. When the hell is Shigure gonna come? You know? Now I know Ryota's motive and history. So what? I'm still an accomplice in manslaughter, bit by bit, wiping out the opportunities in this girl's life. The dream of playing on a sports team. The dream of being a pianist. The dream of marrying a normal guy and having normal kids. Shamelessly and brutally striking those dreams from existence with no method of recovery. She's someone who actually has opportunities in life, and they're being taken away by someone else. Ah, the injustice of the world. You better be grateful that I'm a patient man. A lesser being would have peeled your forearm in layers for your insolence. Ugh. The mental image pulses in front of my eyelids, and I stumble backward, nausea surging to my throat. That's right, I'm just a kid trying to fight a seasoned serial killer. What was I thinking? I use my hands and push against the desk, shakily trying to prop myself on my feet. I only collapse bonelessly to the ground, legs like gelatin. I can't continue this way, not much longer. I see blood on the edge of the pipe in my hands, blood that's not there, blood that I know isn't there, but blood that still weeps down the metal and coats my hands. All is silent, save for the strangled sobs of 2 injured children, 2 dying siblings, side by side. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Well, guess it's my turn again. You know, I'm really giving you an advantage here by going first. Now you'll always be 1 hit ahead. Please, let's just stop. He ignores my faint whisper and steps forward, adjusting his grip on the pipe. The boy whimpers, incomprehensible words spilling out of his mouth. Sorry, kids, but the world doesn't listen to begging, and neither will I. He swings the pipe with vindictive justice. Perhaps a payback for my insolence. I flinch instantly this time, barely missing the moment of impact. Ugh! And then, a chair screeching against the ground, a piercing scream that rends the air, a light, sweet chuckle from a man who's lost his mind. As I force my eyes open, I catch an unfamiliar, pungent smell. Oh, vomit. Ugh! This is so messed up. I said I had my courage today, but it's like, oh my god. I couldn't even imagine being in this situation. This is just so fucked up. Vomit, dripping from the boy's mouth, pooling over the sides of his chair to the floor below. Ugh. My stomach turns over. Yeah, mine is too. My grip rattles against the pipe. Oh, yes. This is life, children. The beauty of pain has no substitute. I step forward, forcing words out of my dry mouth. We need to stop. I can't handle this. Ryota swivels on me, the joy in his eyes immediately dissipating. We're just getting to the good part. You're saying you're gonna forfeit. Quitters never prosper, boy, and you wonder why you never prospered. I drop to my knees, harder than I intend. The shakiness of my limbs give my legs a solid blow against the ground. This is no longer an act. Groveling and showing vulnerability, it's not just another strategy anymore. I have no other way out, no other hope. Please, don't do this. Do what? I can't find the words, so I only sweep my hand around the room. Oh, all of this? The whole captivity thing? The game? The fun? I manage a nod. Then, will you lick my shoe? He stamps a foot in the puddle of the boy's vomit. Ugh! Shaking it teasingly at me, I don't make a move. I'm waiting. I open my mouth, fighting for words. Nothing comes. The vomit gleams on the sole of his shoe, mocking me. Rue makes an instinctive sound of distress, gripping her chair with whitened hands. I stare at the shoe, willing myself to lean forward. Ew, don't do it! I don't move. You see, boy, you're not ready to really beg. Why? Because you're still clinging to that pride, pathetic as it is. Some part of you believes that you still have control over the situation. Some part of you believes that some miracle will bail you out. If you were really ready to beg, if you really threw away your pride, you wouldn't be aiming for the limbs, no. When you hold that pipe, you should be aiming right at the skull. That is your only hope right now, the only hope of all of you, death. But sadly for you, I don't like to rush my executions. It's just such a waste. I shakily clamber to my feet, weighing my arms on the table to pull myself up. Pride? Belief? Control over the situation? Do I really have any of those things? Maybe he's right. Maybe if I really was hopeless, I would have already crushed 2 skulls and resigned myself to a long, excruciating death. But here I stand, with a pipe, ready to hit again. Why? So, now that your little dramatic stint has ended, I believe it's time for your turn. He tilts his knife against the moonlight in Rue's direction, sending a fresh reminder of the stakes. So you don't like to rush? I know your little tricks, boy, and I'm not in the mood to entertain them. Dude, so I can't even stall anymore? Okay. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. I grip the pipe, arm shaking as I raise it over my shoulder. But aren't you stuck here forever? The fight, isn't it getting too tiring? Aren't you exhausted? You're not strong enough to face this. I shake my head and squeeze my eyes shut, trying to knock the voices out of my head. We can't do this, Yama. This is wrong. We can't. I swing the pipe. Ugh. Ugh. No. No. Ugh. Oh my god. Courage, Katie! You're supposed to have courage! The pipe drops out of my shaking fingers. I lean heavily against the nearest desk, my knees too weak to support my weight. I can't do this. Oh, sure you can. You're doing great. Ryota lifts the pipe over the boy, whose face is coated in a mixture of sweat and tears, slicking his hair against his forehead. The boy's eyes slide to mine. Oh my god. Dude, I'm gonna start crying. This is just so fucked up. The boy's eyes slide to mine, begging silently, hating the day he was born. Ryota sends an icy smirk with a sheen of madness, reminding me of my earlier behavior. Payback, he seems to be saying. But I do nothing. Ugh. The note is raw this time, raw from an overused throat that's been screaming far more than it should. When it descends into silence, I can hear the breaths of the 2 students rattling in their lungs, shallow and anguished. Blood is starting to trickle from their mouths. Oh! Slowly, down the corner of their jaw and dripping onto their pristine uniforms. Death would be the far better option. How much time has passed? It feels like days, stretched out and pushed against each other. Practically, I know that it can't be more than a few hours. The sun hasn't started rising yet, but holding out for this long only seems like delaying the inevitable. And in the meantime, harming innocents along the way. Why? Why did it have to be you? Who? Be specific, boy. I wished it wasn't you. Shape up and tell me. Ambiguity helps no one. You shouldn't have been the killer, Ryota. He was supposed to help me. He was supposed to get me through school, through drama, through life. Not this. Never this. I thought you were with us. Why? Do you feel betrayed? Stall again. I thought of all people it wouldn't be you. Unfortunately, that is a fallacy in your own thinking. Well, he's not getting mad yet. Let's stall again. But why? Why you? You know nothing, boy. Quit your dawdling. Okay, I guess we gotta hit the girl. I raise the pipe, but my grip falters as my eyes turn to the girl. She no longer has hate in her gaze. She doesn't even have the slightest hint of anguish. Everything is just empty. I whisper it again, that trivial excuse that does nothing to help the situation. I'm sorry. This time, though, she responds, quietly moving nothing but her mouth. I know. And I swing the pipe. Ugh. The blow rebounds against my arms as the bone of her leg fractures beneath the hard metal. The resulting scream is just another repeat, another skip on a broken record player. I falter backward, the pipe rubbing my hands raw, reminds me that every bent limb, every cry of pain, is all my own doing. No one held my arm, no one swung the pipe. Every blow was my choice. No one bears that blame but me. And I don't know if I can continue to hold on. There's no sign of sirens in the distance, no janitor making his rounds, not even a student in sight. Just 4 teenagers and a serial killer with a knife. That and one pipe, one solid pipe, in my hands. I could say that I don't know what to do. I could say that I'm helpless. But it would be far more accurate to say that I know exactly what to do, and I'm just too scared to do it. What? No begging this time? Why, I'm almost disappointed. Oh my god, they're gonna die! He strikes the boy again, a brutal blow that crushes his fingers. The boy retches as he screeches, choking on his own vomit. The wet, crumpled cough that results is far more painful to hear than any scream. It's the sound of a human who is slowly dying. Stop it! Please! Somehow! I step to the side of the girl, gripping the pipe so tightly that its rough patches begin to dig into my palms. I've gathered enough time. I've tried my best. The police aren't coming. In a situation where... Oh my god, what is happening? Hello! In a situation where there should have been a way out, any way out, there is none. The only relief I can bring is by murdering as many of these students as I can. Yama, stop this! Murder. I've heard it so many times that taking a life changes you, that once you get blood on your hands, you stop being human. Will that happen in this case? Killing this girl, turning me into a monster? I don't know. I just know that there are 3 innocent students here, and if I don't do something, they'll be stuck in this never-ending cycle of agony. And it would have been better if they'd just died earlier. It would have been better if I just killed them earlier. I don't want this, but is there any other choice? I just want everyone to be okay. Ultimate negotiator. Pick the stall option as many times as you can without reaching a bad ending. Oh my god. What do I do? What? Kill the girl or attack Ryota? That's the choice they're gonna give me? Damn it. Well, at least I saved. I better write down how many times I stalled, because just in case I mess this up. Because I don't know what the right freaking option's gonna be in this one. Okay, so the first time I picked 4 stalls. Then I did 3 times. And then there was only 1 time he'd let me stall. And then the last time I think was 3. Okay, let's attack Ryota. No, Ryota's the one at fault, and he'll be the one to pay. I pull the pipe over my shoulder with great deliberation, as if preparing myself to strike the girl again. A moment passes. Then I fling the pipe around me, straight over the girl's head, and right towards Ryota. Ugh! Surprisingly, he's caught off guard and barely raises his pipe in time. Oh no, shit! The force of my blow crashes right against his weapon, driving into his shoulder. He grunts with pain, but I feel no bones give way, nothing that could give me an advantage. Fear spikes through me, but I refuse to freeze. I continue my assault, swinging my pipe with relentless desperation. High, low, middle, anything. But with the shock of the initial assault worn off, Ryota is an iron wall. He seems to know where my blows will strike before I swing them. No, I have to hit him. I have to, or he'll take his revenge. I lunge forward, pulling all of my strength into the next swing. Ryota doesn't sidestep. He doesn't duck. He only broadens his stance and holds his pipe on both ends, driving it upwards to meet my blow. The impact shatters up my arms until my shoulders feel numb. I yell in pain, dropping the pipe on instinct. No! He immediately seizes that moment to bring his own pipe crashing down, right on my leg. Dude, did I pick the wrong option? Pain, nothing but pain, white as a sheet in my mind, washing everything out. Ryota's voice bleeds quietly through the agony, low and mocking. Now, child, that's not how you treat your elders. Don't you know that poor decisions comes with consequences? He whips in Rue's direction, pipe braced high in his hands when... What? Suddenly, from outside the windows, light blasts into the classroom, followed by the shrill overtones of a megaphone. Jiro Ryota, stand down! You are surrounded! Release the students or we will shoot you! Am I hearing things? Have I gone insane? Is the pain in my leg clouding my mind? My eyes instinctively search out Rue's. Her expression is a mess. Horror mixed with sorrow mixed with relief. It's real then. Shigure came. Oh my god, Shigure! Ah! I almost had a freaking heart attack. But even though she came... I glance at Ryota. He's frozen in shock, his hands automatically patting down his pockets, searching for his phone. The phone that I'd smashed to pieces with a metal pipe. It just solidifies my suspicions. He would have been notified if I hadn't managed to break that phone. But what can we do? I'm paralyzed, and Ryota is hovering right above Rue, knife clutched tight in his hand. And suddenly, he's recovered from his momentary shock, his face collapsing back into a tight smile. Well, looks like the party's over. I draw a shuddering breath. Give it up, Ryota. You're surrounded. You're not getting out of this. Oh, I know that. Then put down your knife. Oh, kid, can't you already tell? A feeling of dread instantly starts creeping in, like my bones are being frosted over. Tell what? I care nothing about punishment. I do not fear death. I care nothing about punishment. I do not fear death. All that remains is the beauty of suffering. Ryota, this is not a warning. We will repeat. The fools. Surely they know better than to bluff with a staff member at this damned academy. Bluff? Simply put, if they wish to hit me, they must mow down the entire classroom. The windows are tinted for outsiders. They are blind as bats. No, how can that be true? I saw Rue. When I was outside the academy, I could see her through the window. And the police, they have to have infrared goggles, some kind of special vision that could help them aim. You must be lying. The Emperor and his new clothes. All the fools in the world believed they could see that which did not exist. Only one lonely soul, a mere child, showed them the true path. He releases another bout of unhinged laughter. I unconsciously drag myself backwards, ignoring the pounding ache in my leg. Is this just another step in his delusions? He seems to be spiraling down to an even deeper and darker hole. Come here, my lovelies. You are the last entertainment I shall reap from this world. He wants suffering. He wants me to suffer. The primary target of his choice is obvious. He turns to Rue. Oh my god, I chose the wrong path, I think. He turns to Rue, a flicker of madness in his eye, as if the appearance of the police was the last switch to his sanity. Ryota, we will fire in 5. Ryota pounces with uncanny agility over the desk, flinging his pipe in Rue's direction as he draws his knife with his other hand. Rue throws herself to the side, but she crashes into another desk, sending wood splintering into her arms. 1. Fire now! Now! I hear the rattle of gunfire, but the spray of bullets washes across the window, embedded like knives in a wooden table. Spiderweb cracks cover the windows, but not one penetrates. Bulletproof. That's what Ryota meant. Bulletproof? How was this not in the files? Someone tell me how this wasn't in the files. I don't know, I don't trust you, Katsu. Snipers! The perpetrator is moving too quickly. RPGs, now! Inomoto, there's a chance that this will kill the students. They're already dying! Fire those weapons now! Ryota ignores the outside commotion and tackles Rue against the wall. I hear the dull thump of her head slamming into the plaster. Enough of this squirming! Ryota's grip tightens on his knife. He raises his hand. In one fluid motion, without hesitation, he pins one arm over her head, then drives the knife forward, straight towards her wrist, and... Are you kidding me? Rue! I throw myself forward, but my leg screams in protest. Helpless. Again. Oh yes, what a lovely color. He drags a finger along Rue's forearm, smearing blood against his palm, and licks at it with a look of utter bliss. My vision shuffles in front of my eyes as the ache in my leg spreads to my head. You, dear child, shall be my peace day resistance. With his heel grinding into my other hand, he reaches into his pocket and pulls out something what expands like a butterfly's wing. A cold gray switchblade. No, Ryota, don't! He only smiles wider in response, leaning closer until the switchblade hovers right below her cheekbones. Your face, dear Rue, is so very lovely. It shall serve as an excellent base. No! No, please. I got a bad end from attacking Ryota? Oh my god. What the frick? Alright, I guess we have to try it again. Dude, I don't want to kill the girl. I guess I have to sacrifice her to save Rue. Alright, where was I? Okay. Kill the girl. But I falter. I stand stiffly, the pipe frozen in my hands. Should I just hit her without a killing blow and let the game continue? I can't kill her just to take the easy way out, but I don't think I can keep sustaining my sanity. It would be easy. Everything would be over. You don't need to bear this burden. This is what my mind is whispering to me, but I don't know whether to trust it or not. If I could see the ending, I would know. If we somehow end up getting out of this, then wouldn't she be glad to still be alive, even with those injuries, because at least she has a second chance at life? This pain, this suffering, it'll hurt and it'll scar, but maybe she could find her dream career or marry a wonderful husband, something that just makes living worthwhile. But if we won't get out of this, if the only thing that's in store for us is an agonizing death, against which we're fighting in futility, it would have been better if I just killed her in the very first stroke. How can I make that judgment? How can I possibly predict that burden? Can I really choose to end someone's life with my own hands? I can't see the ending. I don't understand fate. I wish I could know the answer, but there's nothing for me. No one can see the future. If you dawdle any longer, kid, Rue gets the short end of the stick. Or the pipe, however you prefer to say it. No more time, no more chances. I've held out as long as I could. I raised the pipe over my head, aiming it directly in line with the girl's skull. She smiles tremulously and understanding and closes her eyes. Aww. Acceptance, perhaps even gratitude. Because somehow we've landed in a situation where a quick death is merciful. What if I had been faster? What if I had been smarter? If I had caught Ryota before today, none of this would have happened. Why did I sit still in one place and allow this to happen? My arms shake as I will them to descend. I can't hesitate. I need to strike decisively. If I don't, the result will only be unconsciousness and a splitting headache and no clean death. This girl doesn't deserve to wake up again in this nightmare. No one does. And with that, I guess it's time to become a murderer. I raise the pipe even higher, counting softly in my head. 3. I'm sorry I wasn't enough. 2. I'm sorry you had to face this. 1. Okay, maybe I should have chose that from the beginning. Then from outside the windows, light blasts into the classroom, followed by the shrill overtones of a megaphone. Jiro Ryota, stand down! You are surrounded! Please release the students, or we will shoot you. Am I hearing things? Is my mind so desperate to reprieve that it's throwing up whatever it can stop my pipe? My eyes instinctively search out Rue's. Her expression is a mess, horror mixed with sorrow mixed with relief. It's real then. Shigure came. No, wait, it's not over. We're still in this room with Ryota. 2 students are still in the very dangerous position where they might lose their lives. I glance at Ryota. He's frozen in shock, his hands automatically patting down his pockets, searching for his phone. The phone that I'd smashed to pieces with a metal pipe. It just solidifies my suspicions. He would have been notified if I hadn't managed to break that phone. While Ryota's still in shock, we have to run. Now! He'll chase us. He won't be able to stop himself from chasing us. I lock eyes with Rue, then jerk my head to the door. Thankfully, Ryota is still transfixed on the scene outside, mouth agape in disbelief. Rue quietly slides from her desk and sidles along the wall. Painful inch by painful inch, she comes closer. Hey! Run! I immediately seize her hand and we tear off, running as fast as we can on shaky legs. We don't spare any words. We only shoot up the stairs, breaking onto the rooftop. The smart thing for Ryota to do would be staying right where he is, using the 2 remaining students as hostages to secure his escape. But he won't do that. He'll chase after us, furious, bowling anything out of his way to reach us in time. So at this moment, the best thing we can do is run. Why'd you go to the roof? The air is bitingly cold. It blasts at our faces as I lead Rue to the edge without a break in stride. See the line that goes through this row of pots? Jump over the edge there. What? Jump! To her credit, she does, leaping over the low railing of the rooftop and plummeting to the ground below. Except this is not the ground, but the school pool. Okay. At least they have a way to escape then. The pool over which Yaiko, Masato, and I stood last year with umbrellas in hand, testing if we could somehow fly with them. I had hated Yaiko for weeks after that moment. I never thought I would be grateful to have joined him. Rue lands safely with a splash and scrambles to the side as fast as she can. I force myself to wait for a few agonizing moments for her to swim out of the way, then vault over the edge and... Oh no, you don't! An overpowering hand snatches my collar and yanks me back. Crushing my windpipe against my jacket, I'm slammed against the ground on the rooftop, flat on my back. Ryota stands over me, knife loosely handled between his fingers, toying with the edge of my collar with the tip of his blade. His entire face is saturated in a terrifying mix of fury and ecstasy, something that sends chills down my spine. Cute. Really, boy, that was quite cute. He lifts me up and presses me against the railing, settling the flat of his blade against my cheek. No, it can't end this way. What a good-hearted soul, ensuring the escape of Rui before you jumped. Someone like you needs a reward. He abruptly turns the knife until the edge rests lightly on my cheekbone. I flinch instinctively, which only broadens his grin. If you want to beg, boy, now would be the time to do it. Like a rat sprinting through a maze, searching for his only chance at exiting, my mind races for a solution. Something. Anything. No, nothing. Wait. Do you not wish to play a bigger role in society than an inconsequential pawn in this game of life? Or will you restrict yourself to the confines of your own abilities just because of her? My one last chance is this, being vaguely specific. I look Ryota square in the eye, willing my voice to be steady with every last bit of my strength. She was disappointed in you, wasn't she? The result is immediate. Ryota's grin drops and the grip on his knife loosens, just slightly. His eyes turn completely blank, unseeing. I know for certain that in his mind, he's recalling a dark moment, a terrifying memory, something locked away that he'd never let himself know, let alone a stranger. Remembering tears of regret, a whispered phrase, words that have haunted nightmares every day since they were uttered. I don't allow myself to dwell on the thought. Before I can get a grasp on what I'm doing, I'm already seizing the handle of Ryota's knife and turning the blade. Ugh! Shoving it with more force than I'd ever exerted in my life, driving the tip right through his abdomen. His body jerks like a rag doll, but not a word passes his lips. The only sound I hear is the squelch of tissue and organs against metal. For a moment, there's silence, broken only by the distant flare of police sirens. His grip loosens and his weight falls on my shoulder, driving my arm painfully against the railing. A ragged whisper drifts to my ears. Such is our lot, Yama Ishimoto. We are a disappointment. Then, with sudden strength, he grips my shoulders and tumbles over the railing, pulling me with him. My stomach lurches at the terrifying grasp of gravity as we plummet to the school pool below. Falling from the school roof, seized by a serial killer. This is what my existence has been. One struggle for life after another, a constant misstep, a wandering in the wrong direction. Now left with 2 innocent teenagers, broken and bleeding, their minds irreparable, even if their bodies are not. A man, once intelligent, once admirable, now driven mad, a knife fixed in his stomach. A clean and polished school, ruined forever by a legacy of violence. And who knows how many lives shattered. The air tears at my face and clothes, screaming past my ears. Ryota's blood flies from his wound, coating the front of my jacket. Ah, that's right. I stabbed someone. We crashed into the pool with stinging force. Tendrils of blood disperse into the chlorinated water like spider silk. Ryota's iron grip on my shoulders loosens at the impact. Bubbles gurgle from his lips, brushing past my face as they pop to the surface. I'm no longer holding the knife, but I still feel the foam and weight of its handle between my fingers. This is what I've done. For a moment, I let myself drift in the freezing water. There's no point in swimming up to the surface, really. Wouldn't it just be easier to just drift away? Come back up to the world, and I'll face a long hospital trip, a court case. catching up on essays about second wave world civilizations and worksheets on deriving trigonometric theorems. Take the exams, go to some university, major in something or another, get a white-collar job, marry, have kids, die. All this after trashing another human being's system to a pulp, someone who might not recover physically and who will never recover emotionally. Is there even a point? Existential nihilism, the belief that there's no meaning, no value, nothing to life. I vaguely remember being terrified of the notion when I'd first heard about it in class. Most students just laughed it off. How stupid. How depressing. Life has no purpose? Whoever made that up has issues. But it was too close to me, living a life of homework, keeping my head down and going through each day, wondering where I was and what I was doing. Maybe I've been trying too hard to find meaning where there is none. Maybe I've been desperately grasping for straws to find some kind of significance in an inconsequential existence. From a strictly technical point of view, this is not the time to be thinking philosophical thoughts. Being at the bottom of a pool, just an arm's reach away from a serial killer, probably with only 30 seconds left before I run out of breath and start drowning. Any sensible person would leave the Socrates session for another day and wait until all basic needs are met first. Guess I'm not as sensible as I thought. Either that, or I can't bring myself to be. You can lead a student to error, but you can't make him breathe. That's how the saying should go. Maybe I should just sleep. I suddenly feel so tired. Oh my god, that scared me. I think I've been here before. That's right, this is a familiar road. There's a sign at an intersection, I think. It's rickety and rusted, worn from use. There's no words on it, just two arrows, one pointing forward, one pointing backward. I'd just like to stay here. A fork in the road is such a dangerous thing. Left, right, a one-time decision, and if it turns out that you run into an obstacle, then you'll find yourself wishing that you made the other choice. Then, don't you start overthinking everything? What if I'd taken the other road? What if the other road was worse? What if there was another road, if only I'd looked harder? What if I hadn't taken a road at all? What if I'd gone backwards? Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by. And that has made all the difference. A poem written by Robert Frost, originally intended to be a simple teasing joke, a hint of playful satire at indecision. But people saw it as something else. Even though they weren't poets, they started adding their own kinds of verses to the composition. Independence, individualism, science, discovery, curiosity, free will, and the human condition. Poor Robert Frost. Suddenly he had written an entirely different poem, even without touching his pen. Two roads diverged in a wood, and Heavily medicated, doctor. Anytime he's coherent, he thrashes around. We have to sedate him every time. How long? 2 weeks. The record? Here, sir. I assume that when he screams for her, he's referring to the other patient? We think so, sir, but she's still recovering with therapy. We haven't been able to get her in here. What's her progress? She started speaking again after her parents came with the photo album. We're also hoping that the daily fresh air will help her walk. And how about her arm? Psychosomatic, like her legs. We'll be monitoring it over therapy. Is he talking about the girl that Yama was hitting so she made it? Good. She'll likely be our fastest ticket to his recovery. But it might be a while before Miss Hayata is able to... Oh, they're talking about Rui. Rui? Ah, Mr. Shimoto, are you awake? Can you see me? Rui? Mr. Ishimoto, can you tell me... Where's Rui? Where did you take her? She's supposed to be here. Safe. Hold him down. Show me Rui. My own two eyes. Diazepam. Give her back. Give her... Here comes a candle to light you to bed. Here comes a chopper to chop off your head. Chip chop, chip chop, the last man's dead. Sometimes, I really wonder about children's nursery rhymes. Why do we let young kids listen to such twisted ideologies? Children aren't supposed to deal with that kind of stuff. They're supposed to be innocent. Supposed to be innocent. Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. Jack fell down and... My world suddenly feels warm. What is that? Why is it happening? I suddenly get the impression that I'm awake. I think someone's holding my hand. The tips of my fingers feel warm, like they're being cradled in a loving palm. Everything else is blinding light that drills into the back of my eyes. Home. Home is here. Home. Finally got to visit you. I'm sorry for the wait. I had to go through therapy to start talking again. I know that the whole thing is over, thanks to you, but whenever I close my eyes, Well, I guess I'm really thankful that the doctors could help me. I just hope it'll be the same for you. Well, I'll let you rest up. You need a lot of it. Oh, and this old thing? Doctors say I'll be out of it in a week. It's apparently all in my head. Honestly though, a wheelchair's not all that bad. I kind of feel like royalty. You know how they had those, what are they called? Sedans? And they got carried around all the time? I guess this feels like that. Oh, and Yama? I love laughing at your grades. So hurry up and get well, dummy. I dream a little longer. My dreams are softer now, a little more delicate, like lace instead of sandpaper. Aww. I see a young kid grasping the hand of his older sister. In another world, that kid grows up to be more confident, more assured. He learns how to deal with bullies so that he won't bother his sister. He learns how to study hard and make friends and play soccer like all the other boys his age. He doesn't withdraw, lost in his room. He doesn't keep to himself on the playground. He's a happy young boy who turns into a happy teenager. He goes to the prestigious middle school in the area, the academy, to follow in his sister's footsteps. Because his family never left the city. His family never fled to a suburban little town 3 hours away from Izumu. His family stayed because in this other world, there was never an event that had to do with a bus, a blizzard, a loose tread, a frozen river. So the young boy also stayed. Maybe he meets a lively orange-haired girl at this middle school. Maybe he befriends her because she's lovable and bright and impossible to dislike. Or maybe he doesn't. Maybe he falls in with a different crowd, a sea of faces that play soccer and grab ramen on snowy days and study in the library when it's raining. Either way, he flourishes, loves his life, maybe dates once or twice. He studies hard for the college entrance exams, and he passes with flying colors in this other world. He makes it into the university of his dreams. He studies something that he loves. Graduates, finds a girl, gets married. Maybe she has orange hair, maybe she doesn't. He finds a good job, has kids, smiles like an idiot when his daughter wraps her fingers around his pinky. Aww. He'll name her after his sister, the one who's alive and well, who married a decent guy and had kids of her own. Then that boy, who turned into a teenager, who turned into a man, will wake up one day and he'll be happy, he'll be whole, and he'll be wondering if this was all there was to life. My eyes peel open, sluggishly, like they haven't done so for a decade. My muscles feel weak and lifeless, spindled slugs on a sidewalk. My throat's dry and my head is smarting. So, looks like I'm in the hospital. I notice that a nurse is at my bedside, fiddling with the IV drip on the table. She seems tired, drawn eyes, tight frown. I clear my throat to get her attention. "Excuse me." The words eject in a queasy croak. The nurse jumps at the raw noise, but relaxes when she notices me. "Oh, wonderful, you're awake." Her voice is chipper, but I notice how she eyes me with caution, like I'll lunge out of bed and strangle her if she makes any sudden move. "Do you remember your name?" "Yama Ishimoto." "Good. Do you remember how you got here?" "By ambulance, I'd assume." I wheeze in dry laughter. Everything seems funny. The nurse eyes me for a minute, then presses the intercom. "Doctor, the patient's awake. Can you speak with him?" They give me a basic physical exam, followed by a psychological inventory. I give all the answers I think are correct and expect an imminent release. I'm ready to get back to my life. Instead, they take me to a room with a plush couch and a contemporary lamp, where a man sits in an armchair and tries to get me to talk about my life. Therapy. I've been through it too many times. It's gotten quite old over the years. I'm so familiar with the proceedings that I resign myself to playing mind games with the therapist. Can I predict before he asks? Can I redirect his questions? But it's not such a smooth and humorous process. Therapy makes me recall everything. Breaking limbs with a pipe, with my own 2 hands, driving myself insane, stabbing someone in the gut. During the first session, I black out. They tell me later that I crumpled into a ball and refused to respond to anything until Rui came. Oh. Rui, now out of her wheelchair. "You've been in the hospital for 2 months, she said. Rui holds my hand in the next session. I squeeze it until I'm afraid that I'll snap her fingers, just like I snapped those bones. Oh, this is so sad. I feel so bad for Yama and Rui. You know, they went through a very traumatic experience together. She whispers, "You're innocent. Don't you worry. It was all Ryota's fault. You're a victim." I still feel blood on my hands whenever the sessions are over. I go to the bathroom to wash my hands. Once, twice, 5 times over. It still runs slick and steady over my wrist and into my forearms when I exit the bathroom. I stop speaking for a few days. There's nothing to talk about. I have too many sounds to remember, too much cacophony thrumming in the space between my ears. Rui sits by me, feeds me when I have no strength to lift the spoon, pulls the covers up to my chin like my mom should have done. She tells me stories, a princess and a knight, a detective and a bar singer, a celebrity and an unfortunate grocer. Some days I just sit and hold her hand, watching her eyes dance as she paints imaginary canvases with her words. Speaking so much tires her out quickly. Sometimes she nods off in the middle of a sentence, so I lean her head on my shoulder and listen to the even rhythm of her breath. Aww. It's softer than the discord in my brain. Sometimes it lulls me to sleep too. Then comes the session where I remember everything, every last bit, and I lose consciousness again. They say that they found me standing on the hospital rooftop, leaning against the banister with my arms spread wide, as if I was welcoming the city into a warm embrace. They instantly rushed me down, terrified that I'd try to kill myself. "Calm down," I said. My smile was distant. I was just enjoying the view. They didn't believe me, so I'm confined to my room for a while. No one is allowed to see me except Rue, not even my own parents. They say it's because I didn't react well to their presence when I was delirious. So, like the beast with his beauty, I'm holed up in a hospital room, counting the days until I can pass the psychology inventory. Rue brings gifts from the others, envelopes and gift wrap boxes, and overly large bags that could have only been funded by Yaiko's purse. They're nice, and the thought is touching, but I tell Rue to return them all. I plan on staying here, keeping the blood on my hands in one room. Rue cries every time, a heartbreaking, frustrated kind of crying, as she punches me in the shoulder and yells that it's not my fault. It's Ryota's. Why can't I get that through my head? But even if my brain agrees, my hands remember the scratchiness of the pipe, the vibration of each terrible impact, the oozing, sinking feeling of a knife sinking into flesh. So I can only kiss her on the forehead and thank her for staying with me. Aww. She doesn't blush. She doesn't even look remotely embarrassed. In fact, I think that the gesture only makes her angrier. "We're gonna make you well, Yama," she screams this out the window like some kind of oath. "You're gonna be just fine." I attend more sessions, stay isolated from family and friends. My parents pay for the sessions, but I see nothing more of them. Legally, they're allowed to see me, but they don't insist. They probably don't really want to see me anyway. They haven't for years. More days slip by. I wonder if our friends have moved on with their lives, gone back to school, prepared for the university exams, started dating. When I start speaking again, I ask Rue how long we've been at the hospital. 2 months and 2 weeks, she says. Is that it? It feels so much longer. I continue sessions, go for walks, eat hospital food. I think I start to heal because the world feels a little less empty with each passing day. It's not my fault. I decide to say this to the mirror every morning, even if I don't believe it. Maybe if I say it enough, maybe if I raise my chin and put my hands on my hips, maybe if I act like I believe it, then I'll believe it. It's not my fault. It's not my fault. It's not my fault. I stare into my reflection, meaningless words pouring from my lips. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the most broken of them all? It seems to whisper back. Broken you may be, young man, but I see one broken more still. Someone with nothing but blood in his eyes and no person to love. Someone who fell into darkness until, one day, to ease his pain, he had suddenly become a serial killer. Mirror, mirror, couldn't I have become that man myself? In another world, a boy, damaged by an accident, growing up alone and reserved, with nothing but the shadows as his constant companion. That boy could grow into a twisted teenager, who could grow into a twisted man. But I think I understand. None of that happened. What more do I need to worry about? Maybe I disfigured an innocent student. Maybe I stabbed a human being. Maybe I took part in a nightmare that never should have been dreamt. But in this world, in these circumstances, I'm not a twisted, lonely little boy. I grew up showered with love, surrounded by friends, given an ordinary school life. The me standing here and now wouldn't voluntarily lift a pipe or a knife to hurt someone without purpose, because I'm not anyone else. Eventually, I stopped talking to my reflection. I stopped washing my hands every half hour. I feel at peace, I think. At the very least, I stopped blacking out. Rue says that it's been 3 months since our hospitalization. Izumu's now deep in the hold of summer, with a blazing July sun and humid forest wind. School is probably back in session. It doesn't stop us from receiving gifts. Cards, letters, candy. Rue gets swamped by them, of course. Surprisingly, even I receive a few. This time, I return them for a different reason. Not because I plan on cutting off outer contact, but because I plan on seeing them in person. The both of us go through more psychology tests. This time, they seem happier with our responses because they finally open the doors. I don't expect visitors, to be honest. Although I'm no longer bedridden after taking walks around the hospital wing, I expect that the others have gone on with their lives. 3 months is a long time in the hurried pace of a student. But to my surprise, the moment that the hospital lifts my quarantine, 2 figures race into the room in a blur. Minion! It's Yaiko and Masato, dressed in their school uniforms. They're practically bursting with energy. I missed you guys, man! Jesus, I went through hell. It was so scary. For some reason, seeing them brings tears to my eyes. Embarrassed, I turn away. Dude, these past months have felt like forever. I can't believe that this happened. I can still remember. You didn't come to school the other day, and no one knew where you were, and Rue wasn't talking about you. Then suddenly, no one could find Rue, and no one could find you, and... A hint of his mask comes crumbling down. For the first time, I see Yaiko's face twist in true pain. I was thinking that you guys be gone, just like Haru, Shoji, Akane. He grits his teeth, shuddering. All I can do is awkwardly pat him on the shoulder. I've always known that each of Mr. Ryota's victims were connected to Yaiko, but for some reason, I'd never actually considered what that did to Yaiko. It's amazing, really. How could Yaiko even stay standing? How could he still smile, still laugh, even as people he knew were dying? I'd always thought of him as kind of weak and more than kind of stupid, but it looks like he was actually stronger than any of us. He was even right there at the scene of Shoji's death, saw him die with his own eyes. At the time, the scene looked suspicious, but now that I think about it, wasn't Yaiko just trying to prevent a suicide? Wasn't that why I had found Shoji in the river? I almost want to ask about it, but something tells me that Yaiko's had enough. Well, I'm okay, apparently. Yaiko stills, his mouth turning up into a forced smile. Yeah, I guess so. But still, I didn't do anything. What could you do? You didn't even know where we were. Yaiko's eyes shift to the side and he clears his throat. Masato's eyebrow tightens slightly, but he says nothing. Actually, Shigure called us. What? Well, I mean, technically, I guess it was after the fact, but still. We needed to know why you were hospitalized, so we kind of just piled on a bunch of questions. She explained everything. The cases, your investigation. She said we deserved to know. Shigure told them? Why would Shigure tell them? It simply doesn't make sense. At the very least, she would be wasting her time. Beyond that, she'd be spilling confidential info with no clear purpose. So, well, we told Akira and Misaki, since Akira's the best friend of Rue and Misaki knows you both. And Elizabeth ended up overhearing, and apparently Shigure had told Eri. We visited you a few times, but, you were either knocked out or you started thrashing around. And then they kicked us out entirely. So that's why they stayed so worried. That's why they were so persistent with the gifts. I guess it's not every day that one of your friends tries to fight a serial killer. A smile of gratitude tugs at my lips, and I feel a little warmer inside. They really cared a lot for us, didn't they? Thanks, Yaiko. Yaiko only nods mutely. I glance at Masato, only to find that he's still stewing. Come to think of it, he hasn't said a word. Masato? Damn it! Yaiko and I jump at Masato's sudden exclamation. I'm a shackin' full dumber. The fullest dummery dumber. What? He quiets slightly, speaking through gritted teeth. I was stupid blind. I didn't see nothing but myself. I'm really sorry, man. Wait, where is this coming from? Honestly, I'm just surprised to see him here. I wasn't fair to you, man. Was throwing a tantrum like little Hibiki. Saying all those words, not listening to you. It was only something a shackin' full dumber would do. Shoulda asked what was going on, instead of assuming everything. Oh, his apology catches me off guard. Well, thanks, but he was right. Just after he told me to be nice to Rue, I treated her like trash. Maybe he could sense it coming. Maybe he saw that something was wrong with me. Wait. Now that I'm paying more attention, I notice that Masato's hair is damp. Not only that, but there's the faint smell of chlorine? Masato, were you just swimming? Huh? Well, yeah, I guess. Technically, it's summer, and technically, it's pretty normal to be swimming, but something churns slowly in my brain, disused, but still keen. Well, you know, all you talk about is track. Yama's probably tired of hearing it by now. But I don't just run, I can swim too, and do basketball. Masato can swim. In fact, he can swim well. Masato's incredibly athletic. And the last person who I'd spoken to before I seen Shoji drowning in that river, before I'd almost drowned, had been Masato. Like, he ran away from Yama, but maybe he looked back and seen that Yama tried to jump in to save the Shoji, and seen that they were both drowning, so Masato came back and saved us both, and then just never said anything, because he was, mad at Yama and all that, so... He could have easily hauled Shoji and me to shore, even if we were both hopeless at swimming. Odd, it was 3 months ago, but each memory feels as vivid as yesterday. Vibrant, full of life. Guess I should seize the moment. Did you save us? Save who now? Me and Shoji, from drowning, 3 months ago. Oh. That's definitely a yes. It's not like he'd forget saving 2 people from drowning, even if it was 3 months ago. Wait, you guys almost drowned? Well, we didn't, thanks to Masato. Yaiko's face twists for a moment, and for one terrible second, I think he's about to cry. And then... Did you see a mermaid? Now, my good minion, this is a very important question. You must answer. There was a mermaid, wasn't there? Beautiful, with long hair, and a voice that sounds like a really nice voice? To answer or not to answer? Why not? Well, she sung just like you. Really? She must have been amazing. It was definitely worthy of awe. I knew it. The hell are you saying, Yama? There wasn't no mermaid. What? This overdramatic gasp is punctuated with a very long silence. And then Masato snorts. I chuckle. Yaiko giggles. And pretty soon, the three of us are collapsed on the ground, rolling with uncontrollable laughter. Aw, boys will be boys, right? They're so cute. My sides ache and my chest heaves, and every possible muscle on every possible limb is protesting with a sore ache. But it feels good, like the stress is just melting out of my body. Finally, we pick ourselves up, brushing at our eyes. Good to see you're still with us, man. Might want to take a rest, because there's a lot of people waiting to talk with you. You're almost as famous as I am. Wait, what? Later, man. Rest up, good minion. I'm putting you to work the moment you recover. Wait, what do you mean that I'm... But they already skipped out of the room, leaving me completely bewildered. I wait for another visitor, but my door doesn't open again. Maybe people are coming later? It would be nice. After talking with Masato and Yaiko, everything feels normal. Kind of like the world, after being knocked off course, has found its bearings again. On your feet, soldier! Yeah! I startle out of my beauty sleep to find Akira, Eri, and Elizabeth are seated in chairs next to my bed. For a moment, my groggy mind scrambles to piece together reality. Right, hospital. They must be visiting me. Man, I miss the, happy music and stuff like that. Oh, hey, it actually worked. But he seems a bit disoriented. Well, we simply can't have that, can we? Sick him, Eri. Or don't. Elizabeth clears her throat and arches an eyebrow in my direction. So, Yama Ishimoto. So, Elizabeth Oshiro. She suddenly lurches to her feet, glaring darkly at me. I want to know what the bloody hell you were thinking when you decided to do something so barmy. Going to face a known serial killer? Alone? Unarmed? What were you planning to do? Sneeze on him? Her chiding catches me off guard, but it doesn't grate on my nerves. It actually seems caring, in the weirdest way. It is unavoidable. Yama is the protagonist. Precisely. It's exactly something that, say, the main character of a novel would do. Well, this isn't a bloody novel. Correct. It's a visual novel. You know what? I'm not even going to ask. Yeah, that one's even beyond even me. I relax against my pillows. Their energetic presence lights up the room. I hadn't realized how much I missed just being an ordinary kid, hanging out with his friends and getting ready for university, until now. Right, ordinary life, friends. I can just talk about normal stuff, stupid stuff. I clear my throat awkwardly, struggling for words. So, how's school been? Wait, you're asking about school? Who are you and what have you done with Yama Ishimoto? Well, it's a welcome break from thinking about serial killers. You speak truth. She turns to Elizabeth, as if deferring to authority. Elizabeth smiles appreciatively. Well, the Academy's been fighting it off as long as possible, but they were finally forced to shut down. Just today, actually. The public scandal was too much for them to bribe off, apparently. The police are currently conducting an investigation to see how deep this murder scheme goes, and why it seems to center around Yaiko Akari. Before I can stop it, my brain automatically kicks back into investigation mode. Have they found anything yet? Unfortunately, no. It's unusual, actually, how clean and tidy these killings are. There's no ties to any faculty, no apparent motive, no links to any accomplices, and Mr. Ryota had gone off his trolley from the moment he'd been apprehended. Nothing he says makes any sense. I briefly recall a discussion about Aztec gods and blood rituals. It seems so far away. Yeah, I'm not very surprised. But why would he mask his insanity so well while he was a dorm manager? It was practically a personal... Hey, Elizabeth, Yama's supposed to be resting from that. It's fine, Akira. This is important stuff. Nope, you need to rest. Rue's orders. I can rest as much as I want later. Isn't the academy closed? Actually, there's an interesting story behind that too. Akira expels an exaggerated sigh, but I'm already honed in on Elizabeth's words. What do you mean? Don't you find it odd that there are no reporters hovering around? That you haven't received a single request for an interview? Maybe I'm not cute enough. Oh, for the love of... They haven't been around Rue's room either. Well, when she puts it that way, it's definitely suspicious. I would have thought that this kind of juicy scandal would draw reporters like carrion birds to a corpse. So, there's no news coverage? They covered Mr. Ryota's killing spree and arrest, but there's nothing on the closure of the academy. It's as if the national news network is simply ignoring the fact it all happened at school. Wait, what? But the job of the news is to inform the people. One would hope, but in this case, there's not a peep from them. Sober silence falls over the room. No news? For closing the academy? Come to think of it, the NNN used to cover the murders extensively, but I haven't seen much from them recently, or maybe that's just because I don't watch the news much. Well, we should get going. You need to rest up. She reaches out a hand as if to pat me on the shoulder, but suddenly withdraws it, looking away. Bye. She quickly runs out of the classroom. Elizabeth snorts, but her features eventually soften into, dare I say it, admiration. Rescuing Rue was an admirable feat, Yama Ishimoto. Utterly batty, perhaps, but admirable. With these parting words, she turns on one heel and strides away. Eri is the only one left. Her gaze fixes on me, almost like she's examining an alien specimen. What is it? You seem uncomfortable. Actually, this bed's really nice. Not that kind of uncomfortable. I wait for her to elaborate, but she doesn't say anything more. She only slips back into her chair. I can sing. Singing can help you sleep. Oh, thanks. Something about the weight of her words makes me think that this is more than an offer to sing. It's almost an expression of trust. I'd like that. Eri smiles just the teeniest bit, then closes her eyes. The intricate melody that spills from her lips practically eases my muscles into butter. I'd forgotten how nice her voice sounded. It barely takes me any time before I've slipped away from consciousness. I wake up on my own this time. I fully expect the room to be vacant, to be accompanied only by the ticking of the clock, to be utterly silent, but instead, I'm greeted with the sight of a girl seated in the chair beside my bed. Wait, not girl, woman. Shigure? She doesn't even look up from, is that a book she's reading? No, files. Long files, apparently. Ah, Ishimoto, you're awake. Or sleep-talking. Highly improbable. I smirk at that. Even Shigure seems to be smiling. So, what brings you to my humble abode? Shouldn't you be working? Ryota has already been apprehended. I see no further need for my presence in the precinct. What? Really? Shigure's eyebrow gives the barest twitch of irritation. Or is there more to the story? Like, maybe, I don't know, they officially consider the case closed, so you're no longer granted access to the investigation? Bullseye. That's kind of strange. Aren't you the reason why they managed to get Ryota in the first place? I expect her to explode into a fit of intricate insults, but instead, she hunches over if a large weight is bearing down on her shoulders. There are unusual movements in Izumu, Ishimoto. Something is stirring beneath the surface, something bigger than any of us could ever imagine. And I'm the chosen one, born to master the 5 elements to take down the ultimate evil in this world? Absolutely not. Then maybe the shining sword of the chosen one? Oh, please. At best, you are a blunt arrow, sharper than the average rock, but only just. Ouch, can you give me back the Shigure from 3 months ago? I liked her better. I'm afraid she will never make another appearance. But when she snaps the file shut, her smirk softens into a genuine smile. It is good that you did not die, Ishimoto. Although I am uncertain of its relevance, I told myself that as soon as you were coherent, I might relate my story to you. What's that supposed to mean? You may have noticed my certain, unusual reaction to your phone call. I knew that you wouldn't have believed me. You never even needed me as your assistant in the first place. I wouldn't have believed you? But you didn't even try. I would have believed you. I would. If you just trusted me. If you just... now that you mention it, I'd never seen Shigure that emotional, not even when we ran into Natsuki. For time's sake, as well as the sake of your interest, I shall keep my tale short. Despite her confident start, she gives a marked pause before she continues. I get the feeling that she hasn't talked about her story very often. Somehow, the idea makes me feel special. I was difficult to get along with in my youth. Only in your youth? I think automatically, but I keep my mouth shut. Most decided to keep their distance from me. As a method of coping, I kept to books. Hence her occasional bursts of ridiculous vocabulary, I guess. For the most part, the majority of my peers were inane and superficial. Losing their acquaintanceship was no loss. However, one day, a boy approached me. The very traits that others hated so much about me, he found fascinating. He became my truest friend over time. I have a few memories apart from him. We even decided to engage in matrimony as we studied in university, after, of course, we found stable jobs. I finished my schooling with 2.5 years, at which point I began my detective agency. Wait, 2.5 years? That sounds crazy. She must have taken max units, enrolled in classes over interterm, studied without breaks. I dearly loved my field of study and greatly looked forward to my field of work. Aside from the late nights, it was of no difficulty. Somehow, I find that hard to believe. At any rate, one of my first cases was worked in conjunction with the police. There was a particularly vicious triple murder, closely related to the family of my betrothed. Oh, he put forward a suspect. I believed his mind to be clouded by emotion and disregarded it. So he left and found another detective. I winced at the idea. That must have really hurt her pride. Shigure notices my reaction and raises an eyebrow. It was a sore betrayal, Ishimoto. My pride was not the only aspect that was in pain. It may be akin to Rue losing trust in you, even though you thought that she, of all people, would continue to support you. Just the thought sends me reeling. I quickly decide not to consider it again. The suspect that my betrothed put forward was eventually, as I suspected, found to be innocent. Except, no sooner after receiving his verdict, the allegedly innocent man tracked my betrothed's residence and... She pauses. The edges of her expression crumple, but she holds strong. There was another murder that day, one I could not handle. Oh. All I wished for was to take back my actions. I wished that he had believed in me and that I had believed in him. So when I had run around by myself, when I had planned on facing Ryota by my own initiative, no wonder she was so panicked. A repeat in history, a sickening time loop. Shigure doesn't deserve that. Thank you for telling me. She only shrugs wordlessly. It may help your resolve when it comes to Rue. Learn from my mistakes, Ishimoto. This is my gravest instruction. What do you mean? What does that have to do with Rue? Leave no regrets. That is all I mean. Probably she's trying to say, like, tell her how you feel about her. No regrets? Is she telling me to start dating Rue, just like everyone else? The thought seems odd, kind of trivial. Maybe the past 3 months contribute to that. Shigure notes my uneasy expression and stands to her feet somewhat abruptly. Regardless, there are other matters I must see to, but you have earned a well-deserved rest, as well as this. She extends a flat white envelope to me, stamped with pay stub? Wait, what's this? Your pay. I dare say it's deserved. But you never said you'd pay me. I mentioned it multiple times, actually. You simply did not listen. She pushes the envelope into my hand. My fingers numbly accept it. Wow. Thanks. It's unexpectedly generous of her. Farewell, Ishimoto. Rest up. She whisks out of the room, leaving me with the envelope. Well, I never thought that she'd actually pay me. She didn't seem like the type. Hesitantly, I tear the envelope open and unfold the sheet of paper inside. It's an official-looking invoice with 3 printed lines, accompanied by a scribbled note. Income, 100,000 yen. Theme park tickets, minus 110,000 yen. Debt, 10,000 yen. However, as my magnanimity knows no bounds, I shall benignantly waive your debt. S.E. Ha. I totally should have seen this coming. Very well, Ishiyama. Let us depart. Really? And you're paying for everyone? Oh yes, with your future wages. I should have known something was up the moment Shigure started complimenting me. Nevertheless, I'm chuckling to myself, even as I slip the pay stub back into the envelope. That's definitely more like Shigure. Still grinning, I settle back for some more sleep. I know with satisfaction that the heaviness in my limbs is much less substantial than before. I wake to a soft knock at the door. Huh, someone actually knocked. Who would have thought? Come in. This time, it's Mizaki who slips through the door. I would have expected Mizaki to be one of the very first people to come visit Yama. She wordlessly walks over to my side and embraces me. I stiffen awkwardly at her touch. Miki? I'm so glad you're okay, Yama. When I heard they were allowing visitors, I rushed here as soon as I could. I was starting to think I would never see you again. She drops off into silence for a moment. I feel her fingers clutch at my hospital gown. Yaiko and Masato told me about the investigation, about your involvement in the case. Yeah, sorry for not telling you. You didn't have to. I just wanted to say that you did well, Yama. The simple words make my throat swell. Before I can respond, she releases me, settling in the chair nearest my bed. I immediately take note of the stress weighing on her features. She looks a lot more tired than I remember. Something wrong? It's just something about the case still worries me. Have you heard about the recent uproar on Patter? Can't say that I have. Well, it seems like the murders caused a political firestorm. People are angry at how the government handled the incident. Wait, why is the government getting backlash? Aren't the murders a local issue? Misaki shakes her head. After this re-election last week, Mayor Inori held a press conference. According to reports, Mr. Ryota was an immigrant. Not many are happy that a foreigner was able to murder innocent civilians within their borders, so the mayor blamed Japan's government for granting amnesty to undocumented workers to compensate for the financial crash in 2007. He even proposed for Izumo to break away from the country's incompetence by becoming an independent state. I can only remain in stunned silence at this revelation. Mayor Inori is using the murders as his political platform? With all of this attention revolving around Ryota, why is the Academy being excluded from the media? Do you know if they mentioned the Academy at all? They haven't. That's what worries me the most. It's almost as if She trails off, seemingly lost in thought. As if what? As if someone were attempting to cover up the school's involvement. A cover-up? I know, it's a bit of a stretch, but listen to this. She retrieves her phone from her pocket. Remember how the Academy has quite a few sponsors? Isn't that why it's so prestigious? You know, career day and all. Exactly. So I figured, what if they were afraid of people knowing they were affiliated with a school who hired a murderer? Then how are they able to censor the media? That I still don't know. She says this dejectedly, sinking into her seat. Yama, yeah? Aren't you angry? Angry? At Mr. Ryota, at the media, at fate. You didn't deserve any of this. You already gone through so much. And yet, it happened anyway. She clenches her fist, an uncharacteristic shadow veiling across her face. Maybe she's right. Maybe I should be angrier, but all I feel right now is just relief. Everyone's safe. That's all that matters to me. I see. She expels a heavy sigh. Seeing her this distraught is a little unsettling, to say the least. I guess these past few months haven't been so easy on anyone, even Misaki. She should be fretting over entrance exams, or modeling stints, or social drama, not over her friends almost being murdered. This somber thought prompts me to ask her about school. Since the academy's closed, do you know where you'll be transferring? No. The shift in her eyes tells me she hasn't given it much thought. Have you been studying at least? Aren't the university entrance exams coming up soon? Who are you, my teacher? I'll take that as a no. School hasn't been my top priority lately. It never has been, to be honest. So you're not worried about getting into university? Not really. Now that I think about it, she never explicitly said she was planning to attend. So what are you doing after high school? The words slip out of my mouth before I'm able to grasp what I just said. How ironic. I never expected I'd be the one to ask this question. I don't know. What about modeling? As much as I enjoy it, I don't think I'm fit for it. Why not? I thought you loved your job. I do, but... She averts her gaze, twirling her phone between her fingers. I went into the business for the wrong reasons. I thought it was an opportunity to experience something new, you know? I thought it would be easy. But it's not. I can't cope with the stress. I can't focus. I'm always irritable. Tell me, what company would want someone like that? Miki, you're not... But it's true, Yama. You've seen it. I never really think these things through. I just don't know what to do anymore. As strange as it is, Mizaki seems genuinely concerned. I take a moment to really consider her situation. The Mizaki I know couldn't care less about failing. As long as she had fun doing what she wanted, that's all that mattered to her. If you really love being a model, then keep doing it. If you lose interest in that, you could always try something else. For a moment, Mizaki's expression is unreadable. I'm afraid I've said something extremely cheesy, but she flashes me a bright smile. Wise words from an old man. But she's a year older than me. Thank you, Yama. Don't mention it. For some reason, the sincerity in her voice flusters me. Usually, she's the one giving me these kinds of pep talks. I suppose I should let you rest. I still need to speak with Rui. I'm sure you'll be alright? Yeah, thanks for stopping by, Miki. Of course. Rest well, Yama. After flashing one last smile, she strides out the door. Alright guys, I'm gonna end this episode right here. Oh my god, I can't believe I got a bad ending trying to escape Mr. Ryota or fight Mr. Ryota. I didn't know that was going to lead to a bad ending. So... But at least we got away from him. At least he's arrested. The only thing that kind of concerns me is his accomplice, or how many accomplices does he have? Because like I said, you know, someone's calling him on the phone. There was a person in the woods with him in the beginning. So I'm wondering if we're going to find out who else is involved. So share the content. If you're enjoying my playthrough of Lucid 9 Inciting Incident so far, please leave a like. Let me know what you guys thought down in the comments, and make sure to subscribe and click that bell button for when I upload the next episode of Lucid 9 Inciting Incident. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys have a great night. Bye.